Welcome to the Uplift, where we are uplifting our lives, uplifting each other, and uplifting our communities together. Thank you for joining myself, Sai Herrera, and Tessa Savala here, two women, two attorneys, doing it our way, and inviting you here each week to share in on the stories, advice, and life lessons we've picked up along our journeys that keep us uplifted, and that will hopefully do the very same thing for you. Now buckle in and let's get ready to be uplifted.
Hello, everyone. As always, I am Tessa, and I am joined by the ray of sunshine that is Sai.
Hello, and welcome. Blessings to all of you for listening. Thank you for listening and being here with us. And thank you, Tessa, for being here with me again. It's lovely, as always, to hear your voice and to just feel your smile.
It reminds me that when we record the uplift, it's like an uplift for me. Or an uplift for us, right? Like as much as it is,
absolutely.
And we hope everyone else feels that uplift. I recently saw that The Atlantic this year read an article about how kindness is counterculture, which I think we've talked about for probably years now, right? Like, let's rebel and be kind.
Yep.
And I'm like, I guess everybody else is getting it or slowly getting it. I mean, not that The Atlantic is like the most read news source in the country, which, people should read. People should read all things. So,
yes.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to dive into how important kindness is and how it can be hard at times because sometimes you just want to unleash.
Yeah.
And, tips and tricks that we use I don't want to call it, to keep being kind when it's not the easiest choice.
No, I mean, kindness, like you said, not only is it counterculture, but first of all, it is a choice, right? I think, first of all, so many people like to blame the circumstances around them for their inner state and for their actions, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
so,
we live in that victim culture, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And so choosing kindness, not only is it an act of rebellion, not only is it counterculture because it's so rare now, apparently. But
it's so sad to me. But
I know, I'm like, I guess this is our reality.
I know.
But it also is a choice, and it also is a difficult one, or it's a challenging one sometimes, to your point. It absolutely can be a challenge, 100%.
But it feels so good when you're kind. At least for me, it feels so much better. Like if I choose not kindness at times, I don't feel great about myself. And I don't think it's because I'm a people pleaser. I think it's because I know all the data behind it that says like, your whole body is going to rejoice with kindness and gratitude, right? It's like, it's like a form of medicine.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Not produced by the pharmaceutical companies.
No, just produced by the amazing pharmacy inside of us, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that, it's a medicine for you, and, I would observe and say that it's obviously a medicine too for the other person, right? And whether or not they can receive it or not, it's like you're offering this beautiful medicine. And it just to me feels like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, why wouldn't you offer medicine instead of poison if you have the choice for both of you?
I was recently at a store shopping during the holidays, and it was not very full, and there was a lot of men by themselves who were, we'll call them men of a certain age.
Okay.
Is that the polite way of saying?
I think so.
Okay. Men of a certain age, and they were grumpy. like they were letting off all this energy. So when I encountered each of them in the various aisles, I said something kind to them, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. Or, oh, I really like your tie or your whatever, right? And I then saw them in different parts of the store, and like their entire thing changed.
Wow.
Like their
The
energy they were
kindness
giving out was different.
contagion. I love it.
It is, and I think it's so true.
hmm So
So
amazing. Now you
I
can
mean,
see the impact immediately.
right? And unlike medicine, there are no side effects besides being kind and
Besides
feeling better about
pharmaceutical
yourself,
drugs, yes.
right? Like, who wouldn't want that in their life?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the side effects are, contagious joy.
Yay! I'll take that.
Smiling.
Like, I'll take that.
Yeah. And just kind of spreading. And so, yeah, I think the saddest part is that it's become the norm to be, you know, um, to be so rude to each other. Not even rude. Like, I feel like the opposite of kindness, of course, would be like, hatred and rudeness and all of these things. But I think the reason why kindness is such a rare thing now is actually culturally that we are very much strangers to each other now in society, right?
Oh, interesting.
And so it feels to me that, like, there could have been a time or certain places in our history and our culture where people were just generally like more open to one another, right? And when I say strangers, I say that because I feel like it embodies the idea of if there's a stranger, they might be dangerous to you. They might be a threat to you, right? Like we don't know. And so I feel like there's so much more suspicion amongst one another now. Like there's no common ground, like, and not to say that we ever had it, not to say that we've ever had it, and all of us have had different experiences, and depending on the body you're in, like it changes your experience. All those things are true. um but I still, you can recognize a shift, right, where people don't say hi to each other. They don't, you know if you don't know each other, you don't give random people compliments usually, right? Like that's something like you're doing that is an intentional act of kindness.
Hmm.
And I feel like kindness used to just be a little more, just a little more available and a little bit more the norm, the status quo in terms of like saying a kind word to someone, saying, hi, howdy, whatever, like how you doing? Like
Yeah.
whatever, and now I think and again, like I recognize all the history of the fact that like that's not true for everyone. But just in general, as a society, we have definitely like skewed away from that and started looking at each other more as strangers, with more suspicion, with more like, I mean, if you think about it in a practical way, like you don't know what you can say in front of who anymore, right? Whether you, especially with politics, but just in general, like we're more divided, as we've discussed many times. And I say that every time I say something like that, I think back on like how dramatically untrue that is, right? Like there's
Yeah.
so many times in the past where like we were far more divided. There were people who believed in slavery and
Yeah.
people who did not. Like, um, so like,
Before
are
women could have bank
we?
accounts.
Yeah, like I'm
Hmm.
like, are we that divided? But we are, right? Because it's like even though, um in general, more people have moved, like the center has moved, if you will.
Hmm.
There's still these fractions that are becoming more and more divided, if that makes sense. And so with that, with the extremism, and if you will, it just makes you feel more untrusting in the general public, right? Like you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know, like, I mean, I go through the world as a brown woman, like just looking around, scanning for danger, and that's not something, I mean, I used to do all the time, like not in the same way. I mean, I look for little signals, like even, the bumper stickers that people have on their cars. Like, what does
Hmm.
that really mean? What are they trying to convey to me right now, right? Or the shirt that they're wearing or the hat that they're wearing. Like people are taking sides in a way that we haven't seen so blatantly in a minute, right? And so that's why I say it feels like we're more strangers than ever. We used to have kind of at least kind of like a common, human to human situation, where it just feels like more and more people are being dehumanized. Um, And I
It's
mean that from
almost,
all angles, honestly.
do you think it's because we now assume that the humans out there are the trolls on social media?
mm,
Like, it seems to me I could read a
mm.
person in front of me more than I can read a troll on social media, right?
Well,
Like, you
some of
can't,
them literally aren't humans, right?
right,
So
exactly.
some of them are robots. A lot of them are robots actually. And no, I think you're very right. I think social media has changed things a lot, and it makes me think of when I was I think in law school they would talk about how, or maybe it was a psychology thing, I can't remember, but they would talk about how like when people are in their cars, because we didn't have social media when I was in school. Really, I mean there was, but there wasn't, not like now. And so they would talk about how like when people are in their cars, they would feel like more anonymous, and so they're more likely to do things that they wouldn't do, like let's say they were in a group of friends, or they were just, like out and about in the world, but with people that they knew or whatever, or in their community, like in a general sense, like at church or something, like they wouldn't do the same things that they do in their car, because in the car they feel like they are anonymous, because people don't, know who you are. They don't know your name. They don't know where you're coming from, where you're
Yeah.
going. They don't know who you are in that car. They don't know who's behind the wheel. And so when social media came out, I was like, oh God, this, I mean, just talking literally on the computer, they call them, I think they call them like keyboard warriors or something like that, where people feel really, really brave behind a username, essentially, right? And they don't even have to use their real name.
It's so
So,
weird to me
yeah.
because, like, the lawyer in me is like, all of this could go into a court record at some point in
Hmm.
time, people.
Oh yeah, but you know that as a lawyer, like
Yeah.
psychologically, like people don't think like that. And that's what's wild, is like they don't, I mean, people are a little bit more aware of like, we can see your IP address, like we know who you actually are. But I mean in general, no. And people use all these bots, and like nobody's held accountable for that. There's no regulation really, or if there are regulations now, they're still not, controlling the situation as they
Yeah.
should. And so I think that part is really interesting that you bring up. That point is definitely one which, like it's contributing. It's contributing to how we see each other out in the real world for sure. So if you see the nastiness that's happening online, where people feel anonymous and they feel emboldened, right, to just
Hmm.
say whatever the hell, and then, you see people in real life and you wonder, is this one of those people that says those terrible things, that really feels this way, but doesn't feel like they can say it, at work or in their regular life, but that's how they actually feel when they feel, like they're not anonymous, that they feel emboldened. Like, I think that definitely contributes to this reality today, where it's like you do have this whole other space where you don't get to know people in the real world anymore, right? It used to be like
Yeah.
you have to get to know people in the real world. That's all there was. So you walk
Right?
up to them, you feel their body language, their energy, their, eye contact. Like there's a million signals that are being processed within an in-person interaction.
Yeah.
Even the depersonalization of like text messaging, for example. We used to talk on the phone for hours,
Yeah.
and we don't do that as much anymore because we got text messaging, right?
We
So,
did recently, and it brought me so much joy. I mean, I know it was a
mhm.
very hard conversation, but it was so much joy, and I like lived off that joy for like a week because I was like, oh my God, I can't remember the last time I had a long, long conversation on the phone, and it
So
was
good, right? I love
amazing.
it. Yes, and we should do it more. I think we talked about this before. Like, we should definitely do it more. I put on my calendar like something on a Sunday. I think a recurring event that just says connection is everything, and it's like call a friend, call a friend.
Oh,
And I had a wonderful conversation with another friend yesterday, since we were off, for the holidays. And I think we
yeah.
talked for 2 hours, and I didn't want to let her go. I was like, this is
See?
so amazing. I mean, you could just keep going and keep going. And it's so, giving. It just really like feeds into you. And text messaging, no matter if you're talking to the same person, it just isn't the same. It's just not
It
the
isn't.
same.
And like, we all have our quirks when it comes to text messaging, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have a strong dislike of the thumbs up. I think it is so dismissive, and it's
Oh, you're on the
probably
same
my,
ship as my
late
partner.
stage Gen X that's just like, ugh, why? But
Well,
I
because it
mean,
could mean anything. It could mean like, it could mean like thumbs up, it's great. Thumbs up is like, yeah. I mean,
right?
doesn't have any context, right? It doesn't have any feeling or meaning or anything emotional. It's just, you don't know what that is.
So I default to the glitter emoji because I'm like, I don't know where in the world glitter would be a negative thing. So let's just say it's biodegradable and it's lovely glitter and it should make you
It's
happy.
digital glitter. It's the
Yeah.
best of both worlds.
But right, it's like that nuance that you don't know and people get
Yeah.
triggered by it and
Yeah.
you don't know everybody's trigger
And the
and
anxiety, just a little, it's almost like micro anxieties are being caused, right? It's
yes,
just like, it's just like that uncertainty. And when you're on the phone, you can clarify so fast. Like if you say something,
right?
I don't know what you mean, I say, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's
Easy
that easy.
peasy.
What do you mean by that? Or what do you mean this? Like it's wild. And so all that to be said, I feel like the topic that we're talking about today in terms of kindness being such a, strange counterculture type of thing, it stems from what we're talking about in terms of the fact that we've grown apart and we've estranged from each other more
And
so.
ourselves, I think too,
And
right? Like
ourselves, yes.
I don't think we're kind enough to ourselves. And a
Right.
lot of that is the societal pressures that we tend to accept and as opposed to just saying, you know what, I'm just going to be my authentic self and I am not going to, force people into things that they don't want, which means my kindness is for me.
Yes. And in the words of the great RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else, right?
So
So
true.
I wonder, Tessa, for me, kindness is such an interesting thing because I've been talking a lot about the word nice versus kind. And
Mm-hmm.
I know so many people in my life who say, I'm just trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. I tried to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. And I find it so fascinating that they are still, and of course they're all women, of course. That's not
Of
obvious.
course.
But why are you trying to be nice? Right? And
Oh yeah. Is it
I always ask them that.
are you using it as a tool because you want something
Mm,
or is it genuinely who you are? I think there's a big difference in both kindness when it's used as a tool and kindness being genuine, same as being nice as a tool or nice, genuinely nice.
well, that's why I think that kindness is so different than niceness, really. Like for me, they're two very different words. Like when someone says I'm trying to be nice, to me that means like you are trying to accommodate people, be, polite or really just be like just giving them what they want because you think it's the right thing to do, not because it's the right thing for you, but because you think it's the right thing for them, right? And so that's
Well, I
nice.
want to clarify about politeness though,
Mhm. Mhm.
because there's this great quote from Emily Post, who is,
Mhm.
was a US expert on politeness. And she said that pol- being polite is a sensitivity to others. And I
Mhm.
think that is involved for me in kindness, right? Like I am
Yeah.
not somebody who's going to say, I don't know, that hair color doesn't suit you. And you think you're being kind by telling them that. But in reality,
Mm.
you're not. Allow people to live their lives and have their joy.
Yeah. And that yeah, exactly. And that would be kindness, right? And I think that's where it all starts is like how do you define kindness? For me, I don't know. Nice can be such a loaded word for me. And I think it's because of all the socialization against women. Like
Yeah.
the idea of like, you need to be the nice girl, you need to be nice, you need to just be nice. And the way that it's used to manipulate girls to basically give up their entire agency, usually to men, right? Like that niceness to me has been weaponized in a lot of ways. And so for me personally, like I think of it differently in terms of like there's being nice, which is fine as long as it aligns with your values, right? And so that's what you're saying. You're like, well, I'm going to be sensitive to the people around me. That's part of my values, is to make people,
Hmm.
comfortable within limits, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure it's not an unlimited situation for you either. Um,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but for me, kindness is different. It's deeper. It's like niceness is very surface level to me, right? Like I meet you as a stranger and I say, hey, how's it going? That's me being nice. But kindness is a lot deeper to me, and it means something like you tell people, what they you give people what they need, regardless of whether or not they're going to like it, and not the brutal honesty that you're referring to, because that's where the word kindness is so beautiful to me. Like, for example, you can tell somebody, I don't know, what did you say earlier, that you're not going to tell somebody if their blouse is ugly or something?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's nice. But if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I have a really important job interview. I'm thinking about wearing this blouse. Do you think that this really gives, I'm trying to go for this, I'm trying to go for that. Do you think it's giving that?" And you say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it looks great." And it doesn't, to me, that is not nice or kind. Right?
Oh, no.
Because,
See, I would never say that,
yeah,
but
because
I
then
think
you're
it's
just
because,
setting them up for failure, right?
oh, yeah, and that's not kind. And I'm
Mm-mm.
now realizing I just don't like the word nice. Like,
I mean, either.
I
I feel
love
like it.
politeness because I think you can
Mm-hmm.
use it in an aggressive way, right? Because
Mm.
being well mannered makes people nervous.
That's true. Yeah, because you're holding this high standard. And I love
Right.
that. I love that. Yeah, because you're like, this is how we treat each other, and that's high standards and boundaries. Where you're like, no, this, we don't do that at the table or whatever, right? Like,
Or
I
even in
I, I appreciate that.
society or driving or anywhere.
Period. Yeah,
Yeah.
anywhere. Like, no, we don't talk to people that way, or we don't call people names. Like, that's not okay, right? So I love that too. But kindness is like actually having honesty in your value set, right? Like it's actually like caring about somebody enough, that you're giving them what they need when they need it. And for me, the best example of this is like, relating to it as a parent. It's like if your kid wants all the things, all the candy, and you just say, yes, 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 I'm such a nice mom. Well, your baby's teeth are going to fall out their head, basically. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's not kind. You're not setting them up for success. You're actually setting them, down a path of failure. And so the kind thing to do, of course, is for there to, be limits and boundaries. And you can be kind in the way that you do it. So for me, kindness is also like the delivery of it all. You can say, like, no, you can't have that much candy, but if you eat all your dinner, you can have one piece of chocolate before you brush your teeth or whatever. Or, you can't have any more candy today, but I still love you. The end.
Yeah.
you know so that for me is the distinguishing factor. Is like nice I can't get with nice is usually an excuse for sacrificing yourself when you shouldn't, right? And one of the most powerful things that I've learned about kindness this year especially is that you really can't give kindness to others if you're not showing kindness to yourself,
Absolutely.
not
And
genuinely.
I journal a lot, and I find after I've written like kind things about myself or
Mm.
positive things that happen during the day, like that sits and it changes how I see things, and it helps me assume that people are coming from a place of good as opposed to a place of evil as a starting point. I'm not saying you stay there when people are manipulating you, but if you start there, it's a much more interesting conversation that is I think of it as kinder to myself because I am giving them the grace to prove me wrong.
I would love to demonstrate the practice, because another huge lesson for me this year, in my integration era, has been the power of practice versus intellectualizing. And so when we speak,
Mm,
it's powerful. And I feel like I believe that our, talking together is a practice in itself, right? Because we
absolutely.
are generating an energy and an alchemy together. Like there's a lot of power in it. Um, and I love the practical practice, the actual practice of things, because that's where it becomes a part of. your actual lived experience, right? Like instead of thinking about it, you're doing it. So if you would indulge, and I'll participate as well if you're willing. I wonder if we could both just say one thing that we love about ourselves.
I love that I see the world with rosy glasses. And I don't care that people think it's weakness because it is not. It is a superpower.
That's right. I love that one. Um, I love my creativity and um, I don't know the right word to explain, but just my kind of drive to make things real. So I love that can generate ideas and hear other people's ideas and be inspired by the world and people. And then my next thought is, okay, let's do it. Let's make it
How do you
real.
apply that to yourself? Because I love this.
How do I apply it to myself? Like in my
Yeah.
practice or my healing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like, how does that creativity improve you?
Oh, I think I would die without it, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, that warms my heart.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like I feel like it is the human and the divine part of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like everything that I do, I do. But that's not who I am. Yeah. My creativity to me is what I feel is the most real about me. So whenever I create something, I feel the most me. And that's why I love my work actually. Somebody asked me about a month ago, I have a luncheon with all of my new employees every time we do a hiring wave. And one person asked me one question and they said, "What's your favorite part of your job?" And I said, I think it's that I get to be creative in this job because I get to dream up things and then I get to make them real. Like that's my favorite thing. And if I didn't have that in my work, I think it would be really difficult for me to participate in, this capitalist system that we live in. And so, I apply it though in my personal life in so many ways. Like, I mean, music heals me. I don't think I could live without music. Like music, playing music, creating music, listening to music, like just everything music. But even on my healing journey, what I've noticed is that I apply things so quickly. Like, I hear a concept, I'm like, yep, that is it. That's the thing. When something clicks, it clicks for me. And so I apply it immediately. So even on my healing journey, it's been like, I'll take time to listen, and even that was something I learned from, a book that was like, hey, carve out time for yourself. This is how you do it. And I did that. And so every morning I have this time to myself and I started, listening to Buddhist teachings because I was always so curious about them. And the more I learned, the more I loved and wanted to learn more. And so every time something comes from that clicks, I just apply it, like if I don't know, if I learn about how chanting can help you, I'm like, okay, great. Let me get an app. Let me figure out how to chant. Let me find these chants. How do I incorporate it into my daily life? I'm big on routine. And so I love
Mm,
just like jumping into something and starting to do it because I know it takes 14 days at least to build a habit, a new habit, right?
yeah.
So I like to just jump in and start doing it. That way it becomes my new homeostasis. And then before I know it, you know, I'm meditating every day or I'm chanting every day or whatever, and that's how I apply it to my healing. And it's really, really worked for me in terms of being able to carve out the time and the space and the practice that I need to focus on myself. And I struggled with that for so long. And so it's not that, it's a gift that I have that just like works perfectly every time. It's that I have to remind myself how important it is and how I need to value it and how I need to honor it and how I need to go back to it no matter how many times I get distracted or get thrown off course.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Wow. I have taken to, in the last 2 years, 3 years, reading only for joy and for
Mm,
pleasure. And I've noticed that that has only solidified my rosy view of the world. The studies have said that if you read stories where everything works out okay for everybody, you are more apt to see that everything will work out okay. And I've noticed that I don't have those moments where I want to be unkind towards somebody because they've said something horrible. And instead, it's like so much easier just to like allow that to just brush off because I understand that that is their issues and that is them projecting how they see the world. And that is not for me. I am not interested in people who just want to tear people down.
Yeah. And see, even that, like, is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that example from your life and your lived experience, because when you decide, like you decided at some point
Mm-hmm.
that your mindset was going to shift, you had to
Mm-hmm.
have, or you wouldn't have this mindset right now. And to me, that's one of the most powerful, amazing things that we all have access to. We all have access to this thing. And I just wish that, and I think we are doing some mindset work here for sure, but I really feel like I want to call it out and underscore that, like, this is accessible to all of us right now. You can choose right now as you're listening to this to say, you know what? I'm going to change the way that I see the world right now from now
And
on.
for me, it happened at a particularly bad time in politics because I work in politics and it was very anti-women and I had just I had had enough and I didn't want to be frustrated with everybody I encountered who was just lapping it up that, all these women got taken advantage of. And so I was like, you know what? No, I am just going to be the best me and I'm going to keep my good attitude and I'm going to keep supporting women and everybody who's been othered. And I'm just going to be positive. What can I do? And I'm like, I'm just going to read for pleasure. I'm no longer reading about how I can be a better professional or philosophy or things that are like deep. I wanted, how do I lock in and keep my joy and keep my rosy view of this world because I fundamentally don't believe that people are evil. I believe that everybody has good in them and I want that to come to the top. And so as I like my time in the store, I realized if I am good and happy, good for me, I should say, not like good in a moral dilemma kind of way, but it works and other people have kindness too and it can come to the top. And I think the more people that do that, the more that the people who would otherwise succumb to all the crap that's in the world, I think that number will decrease. And I thought about it this morning because I was thinking about how we've seen in the last month or two a lot more joy in the world among people who are otherwise othered by the current state of affairs in the United States, finding their joy and supporting each other. And I remember that from the last administration where we also found joy toward the end of it because we realized we can't just succumb to all the horribleness. And it's that is so powerful to me that I'm like, yes, lap it up. Everybody should drink it in their water and should eat it for every meal.
Shower in it, bathe in
shower in it, bathe in it, wash your clothes in it, do all the things because I just can't envision a life that's not full of joy. Like I really can't.
And why would you want to, right?
Right?
And what I love so much about what you're sharing is, to me, that shows, the power of kindness, the true power of kindness. So like you said, people's perception of people who are nice is that they're weak, that they're impressionable. I just said earlier this season, I want to say, like, people must be mistaking my kindness for weakness. I'm gonna have to correct that. Correct
And
that
it's not, it's
perception.
a superpower. I will repeat that
Yes.
until I'm blue in the face. Being kind
Yes.
is a superpower.
100%. And like we said, it's an intentional act, right? And it's not an easy one when you're up against all of these things. So the thing I love so much about what you said is that you are deciding that you're going to choose kindness, even in the face of evil, even in the face of hatred, even in the face of, oh God, I just imagine people like the pigs that like roll around in the mud.
Oh,
This is what I think of people just wallowing in the hatred and the contempt because it gives them some interesting visceral like comfort, right? Because if they're
yeah.
feeling terrible inside, this is what they feel. And what I love so much is that message that you're giving is that you know that there's so much power in kindness and you're choosing not just to be kind to random strangers in the store, but you're choosing to uphold kindness within you because you know that when you radiate kindness, it spreads just as much as the hatred and the energy that's, so negative that's spreading from other people, right? And you know that it can actually make a difference. And I think that to me is the most profound thing is that people not just underestimate people and especially women who are showing kindness, right?
Hmm.
But they underestimate the power of kindness, period, right? And there's so much power there. And if we were all to, invest in our kind spirit the way that you do, then I believe you. I believe that so many more people would be touched by kindness. They would, be infected with kindness and they would practice more kindness and it would overcome this negative, you know, dark energy, if you will. So
Right? Like
I think it is really powerful.
I'm also the black sheep in my childhood family. So my
Hmm.
kindness is extraordinary to them. And my parents recently visited and they live thousands of miles away. And my mother said to me, wow, you're a lot kinder than we are. I'm like, yeah.
I love that
And
that
it
was
is,
her observation. Just so blatantly true. Yeah, you're like, yep.
but then I've also realized that, your kindness can genuinely be who you are from the outset, but it can also be a reaction to your environment. And for me, it was very much a reaction to my childhood that
Mm.
I chose to be kind because I saw everything else. And I was also a nerdy little kid who read a lot and understood that positive reinforcement slash kindness works on
Yeah,
people.
yeah, it does.
Attacking people does not
Yeah,
make
I
the world a
mean,
better place.
yeah, that's just, facts. We still believe
Right?
in science over here,
Yeah,
so
yes, we do.
so that helps, right? And it's proven. And I think that's what's really fascinating about it is like no matter which way you look at it, it is good and it is powerful and it can actually change the world. And in a time where so many people feel helpless, right? Hopeless. They feel like
Hmm.
nothing that they do is going to make a difference. One of the things that you shared that really spoke to me was when you were saying that you're reading for pleasure now, but you used to read for how to be a better person, how to be a better professional, how to do this, how to
Yep.
do that, how to whatever, right? And
Hmm.
that spoke to me so deeply because I went through the exact same long era in my life where, I was blinded by this idea that like, first of all, it was my job to fix the world. Um,
Well, that's a lot.
now I think it's a lot, but back then, I mean, it was just like that was the thing, right? And
Yeah.
it wasn't even articulated. It was just like, yep, you need to do this, right? And so, like everything I read, exactly. I mean, I remember when people would be like, don't you read any fiction? And I'm like, no, that's a waste of time. Like, why would I read fiction when if I'm going to read, like, I'm going to read something that's going to help me conquer the world, change the world, fix
Yep.
the world, right?
Yep.
So, I
Hmm.
mean, I used to do the exact same thing and it was very depressing
Was it
yeah.
depressing then or was it depressing looking back on it?
Honestly, it wasn't okay. So I guess I should say it's depressing looking back on it because when I was in it, I wasn't depressed. I was angry, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Hmm.
different. That's a very different
Yep.
emotion, right? So like for me, I was indignant and I was like, oh hell no! Like all this injustice in the world, like we need to fix this right now, And I really thought that I was like, I mean, I wasn't delusional in that I thought I was going to do it single handedly, but I really felt like I was like, I had to be part of this like army of like fixing justice and getting justice, right? And so when I look back on it, I just think about how I was such a different person in that every conversation was an argument.
Oh, wow.
Every conversation was an I'm right. I need to convince these people that I'm right so that we can fix all the minds. And I wasn't even thinking about hearts. You know what I mean? It's like, I need you to agree with me and we need to get this done. Like, we need to fix these things. It was so utilitarian, it was so kind of black and white in its thinking. And so for me, the arc has been understanding that, first of all, no one person can really make that kind of large difference. I'm like hesitating to say that because I know there are people that have done it. They can't do it alone. I'll say that, right?
Yeah.
But you can make a difference, and everyone can make a difference by taking ownership of their own internal health. And I want to say wealth. Like, if you have a wealth of kindness in you, if you have a wealth of integrity, of strong, centered values that you live off of and that you live in and that you live through, you are literally a walking inspiration. And not even just an inspiration, but like you said, or like we were discussing earlier about your acts, like a kindness contagion, like you're a super spreader of kindness, if you will, in a good way, right? And so we can be that, and we have power there. And I think
Yeah.
the reason why it's depressing looking back, and even at times, towards the end of that era for me, it was like coming to the reality that, like, this is not working. This is not
Oh,
changing anything. Like, I can read and read and read and argue and argue and argue, and I'm not really changing things, right?
that's fascinating because I think that's when I had that moment during that still awful, but what marked a strong spot of awfulness in politics. It was that I had always read the How to Become a Better Professional or be stronger mentally or whatever it might be, because I thought that's what, as a non-native English speaker, woman, immigrant, that was how people were going to take me seriously.
Right, right, right.
And I think I stopped it at that time because I was like, well, we're pretty much in the same place because these certain group of men are just, I don't think they would admit that they're misogynist, but yeah, it's there, right? And so I'm like, well, F that. I'm just going to do what I like to do. And there was a slow transition for me where I read a lot of murder mysteries. And I realized now looking back on it was because murder mysteries are by default justice, right? Like, it is somebody coming to justice. And that universal justice that I needed in the world wasn't happening. And so I wanted to read about justice and fiction, which then was like, okay, that's great. But now I realize I don't really need the nightmares of like gruesome killings. So reading about just people finding their joy, no matter where it is or how it comes, really just like solved the nightmare issue of brutal killings and got me in the same place of, I'm doing this for me. And more people, I think, need to do things for them. Maybe that's what makes you a kinder person, because instead of like martyring yourself to society and you start doing stuff that brings you joy and pleasure, maybe that's the root of finding kindness and being more kind to people.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Because for me, that's where it all stems from, right? Like, even all of these people, like, I love psychology, as you know. And so when I think about like the psychology of hatred, right? It's like, how do people become so hateful, right? Like, I'm so fascinated by it. Like, I don't like it. I don't agree with it, obviously. But that's the thing. You cannot like it and you can disagree with it, and that doesn't change anything. It's just like disease.
Exactly.
It's just like disease.
Yep.
You have to go to the root of it and say, what is causing this? Right? Like, there has to be cause and effect. And so I remember even when we were studying race and law, I told my professor, like, it seems to me that all these people are racist because, a lack of resources and a fighting and a kind of a mindset of scarcity. And he was like, I never thought about it that way. And I was like, the psychology of it to me is like human nature is human nature, and people are
Yeah.
not just terrible people for no reason. Like my fascination with the world is in developmental psychology. I think it's just so fascinating to understand that like these beautiful little perfect babies can all be born, and one of them ends up being like in the KKK and one of them ends
Mm-hmm.
up being Martin Luther King. Like how,
Yeah.
I just find it so fascinating. And so um, when I see hatred in the world, I always think like, what happened to that person, first of all?
Yeah.
And also like what's going on with them now and what are they seeking actually? What are they seeking? If you just ask yourself that question, you can start seeing the world in a whole different way. And that's why I say like the mindset is so powerful. Like you have chosen to adopt a different mindset, not just for the way that you see the world, but the way that you see the value of your life and the alignment of your actions with your values. That is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. And now you are acting in your purpose and in your actual being, if you will, like the essence of Tessa,
I
right?
will say there is some selfishness in there in that being kind makes me feel good. And I like feeling good,
That's not
right?
selfish. That's not
Oh, thank
selfish.
you.
That's not selfish. Like that's symbiotic,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the thing is like we've been so socialized to believe that anything that we do for ourselves is wrong as women,
Yep.
which is insane. Like it's
Yep. And I
just so
just said
not.
it. Thank you
I
for calling me out on it because I needed that.
We will beat this out of ourselves. Like we
Yes,
are going to take
please.
it away. We are going to remove it because it is not a problem. It is not a problem for you to want to feel good and to make other people feel good. That's why I had a whole pleasure era, just to embrace the idea of pleasure because
Ah,
it's so radical for a woman to want
oh my
and to
God.
receive and to expect pleasure in her life because we're
Yeah.
supposed to be martyrs. We're supposed to be sacrificial lambs. We're supposed to be literally giving up our lives for everyone else. And I refuse.
Hard pass,
Hard
I will
pass.
say.
I will say no to that. No, thank you. And so my point being is that we are in a place now where we can feel the difference, not just think
Yeah.
about it, not just conceive of it, but we can feel it. So when you say like, I feel the difference, I feel like I can be more kind because I'm being kind to myself. That's what I want
Hmm.
for everyone. And I know that the people who are terrible to other people are terrible to themselves. And I feel
Oh, so true.
empathy for them. I feel so much empathy for them. And I also can't allow, abuse, just side note. But
I
I
have,
feel,
uh, to address that, I have started like those moments where I might want to be unkind, but I'm choosing not to be
hmm
unkind to
hmm
somebody. I will say, tell me more. Why do you say that?
mm,
Why is that important to you?
get curious. Yes.
Get curious because it's not telling them that they are wrong and
Bad.
misguided and this world is a horrible place because you exist in it, but rather let them explore it on their own,
hmm
right? Like I think they have to be ready for
Yes.
kindness. So
Yes.
maybe I could do my work to like help them get ready for kindness.
I think this is one of the best like practical tools that we can offer anybody because it's I feel like there are two big like, kind of challenges in life. I'm sure there are so many more, but right now, the two that come to me are like the challenge to know thyself, to
Hmm.
heal thyself, to be thyself, like all of this internal work, the way out is in type of thing, like all of that work is one big challenge. And then
Yeah.
the other challenge is people
Oh yeah. And
dealing
they're
with
both ongoing, right? Like the,
ongoing at the same time.
yeah. Hmm.
And so you have to interact with all these other people who also need to be going through their own internal journeys, right?
Yeah.
And how do you interact and interface with them? And of course there's a chemistry literally that goes on there where your energies mix and something else comes of it, like all of this is real stuff that's happening. And so with those two challenges, I think one definitely gives to the other. And so for me, the more I learn about myself, the more I'm alone with myself, the more I'm quiet and listen to myself, my body, my just being, the more I have empathy for people in practice. Like this is to me a real practice. the more you do that, the more you seek joy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like if you seek joy in creativity, in reading for pleasure, in anything, like in nature, in whatever actually sparks joy in you, whatever really brings you joy,
Yeah.
the
And it
more
can
that you
literally
can
be
tap.
anything.
Yeah, it can be
Yeah,
literally be anything. And the more that it's accessible to you, the more it's accessible when you interact with other people. That's what I
absolutely.
find. And I wish that for everyone. Like, whatever brings you joy, try a bunch of things if you don't know what it is, because some of us
Yeah.
are out here, as I want to say, I don't know, capitalism zombies. Like, we're just working.
Right? And I don't think it necessarily, seeking our joy doesn't necessarily require the spending of money.
Nope. Go outside.
Yep.
Just go outside. Literally, like, Mother Nature has all the answers, honestly. But like if you don't have any money, literally take your shoes off, and if you have access to any grass, go put your foot or feet in the grass and just
Yeah.
feel the ground beneath you. Lay in the grass, roll around in it. Oh my God, when I see my dog outside rolling in the dirt, I'm like, I should do that. That looks good. That looks really fun.
Oh my God, that reminds me of a quote I read recently on Instagram. Let me see if I can find it about when you drink coffee.
Mm,
And it is about, let's see, how do I do this? Like, I'm sure I saved this guy. It was such a, like, in the moment, we're going to live
mm,
with intent. And it was so lovely. And I'm like, I'm going to think about that every time I drink coffee. And as a Swede, I drink coffee a lot. Okay, it's
yes.
a quote from Muhammad Darwish from Memory for Forgetfulness, I guess, that he wrote in 1982 in Beirut. And it is, coffee should not be drunk in a hurry. It
Mm-hmm.
is the sister of time and should
Mm,
be sipped slowly, slowly. Coffee is a sound of taste, a sound for the aroma. It is a meditation and a plunge into memories and the soul. And I was like, yep,
yes.
yes, please, and thank you.
Yes. And that reminds me of something similar that comes from the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's about the tea. And so I feel like we need to do a post about coffee and tea if you're a coffee drinker, if you're a tea
Yes.
drinker. But for tea, he says something similar, not a quote, but really a teaching and a meditation, as you said, when you're drinking your tea. And I really like, it has changed the way that I drink and prepare tea, where, when you're going to prepare your tea and you're doing it with intent, you're not rushing and just throwing stuff together and, gulping it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which just gives so much American culture to me. But anyways,
100%
you
agree.
I'm just like American. And then when you're there, right?
Yeah.
And what was beautiful about what is beautiful about his teachings in terms of the intention and mindfulness and meditation around tea is that every step, you know, you're there, first of all. You're present in that moment. You're not doing anything else. You're not reading an article. You're not, talking to someone, like you're just there, right? And you're observing with all of your senses the
Yeah.
process of creating the tea. And not only that, but also recognizing that the world is in your cup of tea. And this has been really profound for me to understand that there's this, whole concept of interconnectedness that I've always felt, but didn't have a way to articulate, right? And he talks about it in that the cloud is in your tea. Like your tea leaves would not exist without the rain, without the cloud, without the water, without the earth. All of that has combined in order to even make these tea leaves. The hot water, the steam, like all of this comes from the earth. And when you start to see that your tea is made up of all of these incredible, almost miraculous pieces of Mother Nature, and then you are, bringing that into your body and it's giving you this sustenance, like it's almost like a prayer. Like it's so beautiful to like, honor that moment and feel just gratitude for all of what needed to happen in order to bring you this moment.
And I think gratitude is like the foundation for kindness, right? Like having that moment of joy and gratefulness for your tea or for your coffee, like soothes your soul, which then builds the kindness because there's that appreciation for the little things, and that appreciation and gratefulness, for me anyway, is like the solid base that keeps my kindness afloat.
Absolutely. How do you practice gratitude, Tessa?
I think it's with living with intent for me, right?
Mm.
Like, I think living with intent makes me grateful for not only people and objects and things, but also for the feelings and the emotions and the joy, and knowing that what my husband and I often say together is you're worth it, right? Like you're worth that moment in time to make your tea properly or to set a nice table because, you're worth not shoveling food into your mouth. You're worth enjoying it in the moment.
Mm. And one very practical tip for how to, um, you know, have a more mindful kind of coffee or tea time is to use both hands when you're sipping on it.
Oh,
This is a really interesting psychological thing for me. At least I tried it, and I do it pretty frequently now, especially when I remember like, oh, I want to be mindful. It just brings you into this place where it's like if both of your hands are here, your mind is here too. And then it almost feels like you're saying thank you by putting both of your hands together for some reason. It just signals that you're like giving gratitude and you're also like, giving honor and intention. And so try it out. It helps when you don't have a free hand to do something else with.
I
It
love
kind of focuses
this.
you. Yeah.
As a Tauran and somebody who very much loves the senses, I love that tactile
Mm,
idea. Like for me, it is the sound of a coffee cup hitting the saucer because it reminds me
mm,
of my grandmother in Sweden. Like
mm,
it's that noise and that moment of connecting your body with the senses to what you're doing, to just having that ability to shed all of society. At least that's
mm,
how it works for me, right? Like at that moment, all the crazy things happening in society gone. It's
yeah.
just me and my cup of coffee.
Yeah. And you can be present in any moment. Any
Yep,
moment can be an intentional one. I think I was sharing the other day that even like walking can be a meditation. I've been practicing walking meditation where, the same teacher talks about every step being like a kiss to the ground. And when you really like focus your energy on every step, it's wild to just
it is.
be. It's just wild to just literally be in that moment and be grateful that you can even, take those steps and you're alive. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you were talking about the coffee, it made me think about how powerful our senses are, but especially scent and our
Hmm.
olfactory type glands, like apparently are the strongest sense for activating, memory and connection. And so it makes me think about how, it's something so simple. Like we're just talking about coffee and tea. People
Right?
probably do this every day, but can take it for granted,
Yep,
and also can miss it. It's like you miss the moment by thinking about
absolutely.
everything else instead of what's right in front of you. So just being there.
What will you do today to be there, to absorb that
Mm.
feeling of gratitude?
For me, like I was saying earlier, I like to find the practical ways to incorporate things into my practice, into my daily living as fast as I can. And one of the things that I found that works for me and my busy brain is if I find myself being really distracted, which happens a lot, um, and I'm doing something that I want to be present for, and I'm struggling with it because I'm thinking about work and I'm thinking about what that person said or what I'm going to do or what's going to happen or whatever. What I like to do is one of two things. Um, well, actually, no, it's just one thing. I was gonna say sometimes I count, which helps me.
Oh, I'm a counter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it helps me count silently, like just helps me focus. But the other thing that I do is I just in my head repeat the thing that I'm doing until I'm done doing it, and it just distracts my brain enough to where I can focus on what I'm doing in front of me. So when I meditate, I used to think like, oh, meditation is such this like fancy thing, and I need to have a guided meditation, and I need to like, have all of these incredibly deep, teachings or whatever I was thinking, all these
Mm-mm.
techniques and everything. And
Mm-mm.
now I just literally say, breathe,
Yeah.
breathe, breathe. And I do that with everything that I can remember to do it with. So, Um, in my practice today, what I'm committed to doing is to being more present by focusing on the one thing in front of me. And instead of multitasking, I'm obsessed with the idea of single tasking.
Oh, I love this. I love focus.
And single tasking means I'm here for this one thing that I'm doing right now. And if I'm going to, wash a dish, I'm going to wash a dish. If I'm going to drink tea, I'm going to drink tea. And that's it. And if I have trouble keeping my mind from wandering, I'm going to be gentle with myself and I'm going to remember this moment and use the word or words that will help me to just stay where I'm at for that moment.
That is a fantastic reminder for all of us, specifically the part of being gentle with ourselves, because we should not expect perfection.
Mm.
And we should be kind to ourselves when our actions or our words don't align with our values, because it'll happen and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And it
Mm-hmm.
happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm. And there's no linear way. There's no
Absolutely
linear way.
not.
When people say the word perfect, I always want to say there's no such thing. But somebody told me that's not true because you were born perfect. But I'm trying, I'm trying to dispel the idea that there is some kind of ideal there to get to.
I always think of it as like a perfect for humanity, in that humanity
Mm,
is flawed in so many ways. And
yeah,
so
perfectly
there's
human.
perfectly human. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So, what about you, Tessa? What will you take into your daily practice today?
Today, and I've been putting it off for some reason, maybe the holidays, I going out to the garden to harvest. I
Mm,
want to pick some greens for salad tonight, and I
yeah.
need to check to see if there's zucchini hiding. And since it's been, 80 in Austin, Texas lately, the garden is thriving, and sure I have zucchini and tomatoes and peppers to harvest as well.
Mm, awesome. And what does that bring you?
It's that connection with nature, but it's also for me, the intent of knowing that these vegetables were grown by my husband and I. We cared for them. We allowed them to thrive in the best environment we could. And then we harvested them at their peak of nutritional value, and it did not decline because we ate them immediately. And there is something just grounding connection to the earth that just
Mm,
brings me so much joy.
you cared for them and now they will care for you.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And then our vegetable scraps will go into our compost and it will start it all over again.
The circle of life. So
Yeah.
beautiful. Amazing.
And I hope
Well,
all of y'all find something that brings you that
mhm,
grounding gratitude for yourself and for your life, and helps build the structure of kindness.
same. And again, like be kind to yourself.
Yes, please.
Be kind to yourself on this journey. I think The interesting thing about everything in this society is that it's always through the lens of capitalism for me. That's my big struggle is like you every time you see something like let's say spirituality, healing, whatever you want to call it, usually the first way you see it is through a capitalistic lens, you know.
Somebody's trying to sell you something.
Yes, and it's sad because you lose so much of the substantive, like, you know, wisdom or just offerings and gifts that would come from that tradition and practice
Yeah.
and just, you know, ancient wisdom really that is there that they're capitalizing off of, right? And so advertising capitalism works off of shame. And shame is the idea that there's something fundamentally wrong with you and that you need to fix it by buying something, you know. So I just encourage everyone to remind themselves that they are worthy of healing, they're worthy of peace, and that all of what we're seeking is in this moment. This is the only moment that we have, and you're worthy of it. So go ahead and lay everything down and release everything that is not yours in this moment.
And thank you all for joining us on our rebellious journey to bring more kindness to the world.
Yes, y'all. Thank you so much for being here and for being a part of this movement and for bringing kindness into the world, even in the face of unkindness. We will shift the tides together. So stay uplifted, y'all. Until next time, blessings and take care.